Hi, it's Stu, and I'm going to have to go quickly, speak quickly, be quick about this. I want to say unhinged book haul, but like almost all of these books are free. I found in little free library exchanges, and I also got for free for some volunteer work that I did at a bookish thing. And yeah, just book exchanges that I've been to. Summer's a very bookish time, and I can assure you, I am reading voraciously. I am reading moodily, and that is quite delightful for me. I am unhauling double, triple what I'm hauling, but I'm still hauling a lot. And so I think, we will come to a point where I'm either going to get a new bookshelf. I'm there, or I'm just going to have to, do a huge sort of unhaul without reading, which is fine. I have a lot of books, which I am happy to, especially ones that I got from little free libraries, that I'm happy to sort of let back into the ecosystem and then catch back up with them when they come back around. Let me not talk about that anymore, though. I'm just going to rapid fire these books. Some I know a little bit about, some I know nothing about, but in an effort to not make this a super long video, but also in an effort to share my enthusiasm about basically all of the book exchanges, all of these free, without any kind of obligation, meaning I don't have to review, I'm not obliged to review or anything books. Let me take off. So Annie Bot by Sierra Greer, I already have, and I want to tell a little anecdote about this book. I have a buddy reader who, doesn't read nearly as much as I do, and that's okay, but has a lot of enthusiasm around books to buddy read. And so whenever I already own a hardback and then I come across a paperback for free or cheap, I give that person the hardback and I keep the paperback, and then it becomes one of our buddy reads. It's not 100%. Like if I don't think this person would like the book that I found another copy of, then I let it go. But so far there has been a pretty, I think this is the fifth. This is the fifth book. So this is not a TBR video, but this book will be read in the next week or so. It's a nice short one, and hopefully it'll be a successful buddy read because of that. This is a speculative fiction that looks at AI and male gaze and the patriarchy through the story of and point of view of a domestic robot. Next, we have a book that's called Ferdinand, the Man with the Kind Heart by Irmgard Kuhn, and the translation is by Michael Kaufman. The cover made me do it. It's a translation from English. I have just finished Till, which was a translation from German. Translation into English from German. I had just finished Till when I came across this book, and I said, okay, I have quite a few books that I want to catch up on that are also German translations, but this one had a real summer vibe, so it's sitting on sort of like a giant pile of possibilities for my mood reading this summer. From a little free library, I found this, and I'm going to travel a little in August. This is going to come with me. This is Gabi Rivera's Juliet Takes a Breath, contemporary, maybe some romance, queer, I believe, book that just look at the vibe of this book. I found it in a little free library. I feel like, Elizabeth Acevedo, who I just finished a book by, coming up in my review, did the blurb for this and is going to be in town. I'm going to go listen to her speak in the fall. So yeah, anyway, I'm excited to travel with this book. I'm almost positive this will also be a summer read, and I'll get to. Jan Martel is getting a lot of hype right now because he has just published a new book. It's Booker season coming up. And this is Beatrice and Virgil, and it's an autographed edition. I procured this also for free, and I have some although I have a lot of the short list and long listed Booker books on my shelf now. And last year I just read Booker authors. So maybe just in the spirit of Booker season, I'll get to this. Okay. Sharon Hashimoto's Stealing Home. This is an indie book. Its setting is Seattle, I believe. It's dealing with the displacement of Japanese citizens during World War II and their terrible internment. And this is from Grid Books, which I believe is an indie press in Boston, as it says there. Penelope Lively's The Purple Swamp Hen and Other Stories. I have a basket of short stories. It is overflowing. So my short story books are in a little basket, and I just kind of feel like a basket is appropriate for short stories. It's overflowing. I have read a digital short story collection. I believe it was a prize winner called Hellions. I only have a digital copy. So I was like, what am I doing reading digital books and hauling more books when I have a lot of short stories? But short stories are a great thing to have. Short story collections are a great thing to have around. You never know when you kind of slump a little as a reader, or you get time restricted, and you can commit to a short story and still escape or have a singular focus for your mind instead of one with a lot of distractions like what we have in our digital age. And so I'm glad to have a lot of short stories. That was a bit of a digression, and I'm not going quickly with those digressions. So here we go again. Will and Testament by Vijay Yorth. Last year I read Long Live the Post Horn. It was it was an existential scream. That's what it said in the description, and indeed it was. This is definitely a summer vibe book. I think it's for friends. It's a summer setting, and it's actively on my TBR. Again, I'm mood reading. By that I mean it's sitting in a big pile of like, wouldn't it be great to get to these books, but also every book ever is up to be read in the summer, and I am being a moody reader, as I said before. Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I still haven't read Station 11. It's circled around as I think I'm going to read it now. I think now's a good time to read it. And then this came into my life for some reason. Because I just hauled it, it's sitting in that same pile of potential summer reads. Although, now that I'm talking about it for the reason of just honoring what's been around for probably 6 months. 6 months is Station 11, and I'd like to get to that. In any case, I'm excited to have both of those books, although I haven't read from that author yet. I was so excited as a free book to find a James Baldwin. This is the only physical James Baldwin I've ever owned. It's If Beale Street Could Talk. It's going to sit on my classic shelf. My classic shelf is a weird double-stacked, ratty-tatty, kind of what it looked like in college and throughout my life kind of shelf, where I do unhaul and I don't sometimes too. Unlike all of my other books where I 100% unhaul. I don't know. I feel like it's so exciting to have found this, and it's such a small book that it's going to sit in that same pile for the summer. This was the cover made me do it. This is Women Are the Fiercest Creatures by Andrea Dunlop. I mean, the title made me do it as well. I think, like Will and Testament, this is also a book about female friendship. I think there's 3 or 4 friends, maybe 3 or 4 points of view. That's what I gather about this. And I'm not sure, what sort of the drama or conflict or the plot lines are going to be. But if I'm being honest, I kind of want to have these books in concert with each other, but we'll see. Again, I like to think like that, even as a mood reader. The Ally by Ivan Replia, translated by Maria Mango La Liberta. Sorry. Okay. I don't know if this is satire or what's going on with this book, but the synopsis of this book, written clearly by a male, is about, a man trying to woo a woman, and then he's not really able to do it, and so he then is transformed into this feminist. I have doubts. I have worries. I have curiosities, and that's why I grabbed this book. It might just get on hold without read. I don't know, but I had curiosities when I picked it up. Probably my most exciting find was this. This is The Benefactors by Wendy Erskine, and I read all but 3 books of the Women's Prize for Fiction long list this year, and the 3 that I couldn't read, I couldn't get. And I read them all digitally because they're all new releases, and one doesn't get new releases doing this kind of free and cheap thrifting life that I live. And all of the books that you see here are all spectacular books that I got that way. So this is a UK edition. It's in pounds because I don't know if this book has been released into the US. And indeed, I found this at the Friends of the Library bookshop I rarely go to. And so I was able to get this book for cheap. This book, to be fair, I don't know if I would have chosen to read this book had I been able to get it even digitally for the Women's Prize. There was just a lot of heavy themes this year, and a lot of grief and a lot of violence to women's bodies. And this explores essay, and it's a really difficult and activating topic for me. And I appreciate what I believe Wendy Erskine's doing in this book. And, maybe summertime at the beach, everything else is chill. It's the right time to dabble. And then if it doesn't work out, there's plenty of other kind of fun books. And again, I'm reading quite moodily. If I'm just not in the mood, even for the book that I was totally into, I'm saying, let me just pick something else up and bookmark that. And yeah, so it's been kind of interesting reading for me that way. So maybe that's a good time for this. I'm so happy to have found it. I do intend to read it. It's one of those that when and how and what am I going to read around it? We shall see. Out of Darkness, Shining Light. I mean, what a fantastic title. And this is by Bettina Gaffa. And I read the Book of Memory by this author. I thought that the story from the Book of Memory was one that really needed to be told. And I love to read books that really need to be told. I had some issue with kind of the devices chosen in the execution of the story. It did distract me a little bit. And I think as well, sometimes hold on to the story and don't disregard the craft when it's there, but don't necessarily let different crafts or different levels of craft get in the way. So I was happy to find this. Look at this title. I don't think that's going to sit. I think I'm going to shelf that if I can find a place. A Man by Kichiro Hirano, translated by Eli K.P. William. It's about a man. And I read men. I do more than I think that I do. Sometimes when I look at my reading wrap up, I'm like, oh, actually I read a lot of men, and I'm actively making sure that, the sort of dominant voices and worldviews in a patriarchy get to be quieted a little through my experiences with literature. So sometimes I'm like, authors like Richard Russo, Jeffrey Eugenides, fantastic. Cormac McCarthy, I like to read you. And also I just have a lot of books, and there's a lot of ways in which I want to embrace viewing the world. Another diatribe, move on. This is about a man who's a divorce attorney, and who's also having a difficult time in his marriage. I'm very interested in that as a topic. And I'm very interested in, this author's male POV when I get to it. Coleman Hill by Kim Coleman Foote, maybe Foote. The cover made me do it. This is a Sarah Jessica Parker, I believe, in print. And yeah, I think this is autofiction. And I would have said before recently, I don't know if I'm into autofiction. I'm not really into memoir because I'm not really into memoir. But I recently just went and saw Ocean Vuong talk, and he was just so pro autofiction for well articulated and poignant reasons that I can't say now with the same kind of conviction I would have said before, I don't know if I'm into autofiction. Well, I can say I don't know if I'm into autofiction, but I'll say it with more trepidation. Like, I have a renewed sort of perspective with which to enter autofiction. And that's what that feels like. It feels like a memoir, but it's marketed as a novel. Signal Fires by Dani Shapiro. This is from 2022. I think during that time, this book was super hyped. And I don't know why I think that. Like, in 2022, I was not reading the way that I am. I was not plugged into like BookTube or any kind of book social media goings-ons. But this book actually sat at the Friends of the Library for quite a while, and I decided to pick it up this last year. I think it came around into my, orbit of consciousness. So I grabbed it. I believe there's a car crash in this. That's what I think. That's what I think is happening. And oh yeah, the blurbs are as you would expect. Okay. And setting is 1985. Sure. It's a great setting for me. It's one that which I was coming of age. So, okay. Second book that I was super excited to find. This is a 2026. We are only halfway into 2026. So to find 2026 for free, is just like, okay. This book, either someone was so excited about and couldn't wait to get out there, or just somebody got and they're like, this is not for me. Let me hurry up and get rid of this. Because let's be honest, most readers that I know don't read and unhaul the way that I do. I'm not saying I'm the only one, and I'm not saying people don't unhaul all of the time, but because generally people hold on to new releases for a little bit longer, that's why I think that my suspicion is one of those two things. I actually had this on hold to just read digitally, kind of saying it's okay. I don't need the physical book to inspire me to read it. It's a topic I'm very interested in, and it's exploring sort of how we with cultural humility, respect, and respect of plurality and grace of others, also condemn practices that are understood by certain cultures to be cultural practices and accepted, such as honor killings, which are clearly wrong. Like, I don't think there's any moral ambiguity there, but I think that when we start to explore it, it's really easy to start to conflate the thing that is wrong with also then some cultural biases and some assumptions, and it gets really messy. And I think that that's what this book explores. It also explores like word of mouth, othering, diaspora, immigrant communities. And I think those are just such profound topics that I'm very interested in seeing what folks have to say through their own story lenses, meaning parts of the communities in which the stories are being told about. So I was excited when I had heard about this book. I put it on digital hold. It's still on digital hold. So now I have the physical copy if I can get to it. And it's not like I'm having an opposite problem now. I have so much daylight, but it's just too hot and or smoky outside for me to be sitting out there. So I'm still relying on audio and digital a little bit. The Front by Journey Herbeck. This is a little indie University of Nebraska Press ditty. This author is a high school science teacher in the state of Montana. And so I felt enough connection to it to go ahead and grab it. And it's not very long, so if I can get to it, great. It will sit because it was free. So if I don't get to it, it'll be one of those books perhaps that just gets let go in my perhaps giant unhaul that'll happen this fall. This is an ARC, but it's an NYRB book. And I have heard a little bit of chatter around Amit Chaudhuri's Chateau Rouge. It's about a man. He goes to Paris. He's staying inside of Paris, and isn't the Paris he thought it was going to be. It's told in these little vignettes. I tend to like the books that I've read by that engage little vignettes have really worked for me. Sort of like looking at a place that isn't what you thought it would be also is really interesting to me. So I'm interested in this book. It came from a little free library, as it's an ARC. Iana Volkova's Traveling Light in the Direction of the Shadow. This reminds me of the book I read about the movie theater that was translated from German, and it took place in Hungary. This is translated from the Bulgarian by Katrina Petrova. It feels a little bit experimental and maybe a little bit artsy for me, as this is an ARC, as I got it from a little free library. It's an NYRB book as well. I grabbed it and I thought, again, while I'm in the sort of like moody experimental reading phase of the summer, wouldn't it be a great time to actually see what I can get from this or how I can engage with it, maybe even travel around with it a little. Speaking of translations from the German, is this a Nobel Prize winner? Is Hermann Hesse a Nobel Prize winner? I think so. Definitely classic. Thomas Mann wrote the introduction in this edition, and this is Demian. I have no idea what this book is about, but as again, I was exchanging. It was another free book. I felt quite, willing to give this a try, as I haven't read any Hermann Hesse. I haven't. This was translated by two names that are too small for me to see. I apologize. It's Michael something and another Michael. By Michael and Michael, whose last names I can't see in this dim light right now, who translated this classic. Speaking of a translation, I believe this is another translation, and the next three books will be, they're also Europa editions. I have to read some of my Europa edition shelf. It's on the other side. It's quite a bit smaller than what you can see behind me, and it's full. It's full. How delightful. And where I like to see it, like it's all together, the Europa edition. I don't feel any kind of like I need to keep all of these as like a collection. I'm absolutely willing to unhaul whatever I read from there. And since it's full, and since I still like get really excited when I find Europa editions, I have to make sure that I read some soon so that I can, so I have room to haul more in the future. This is Die Missionais 3, and it is translated from the Hebrew by Jessica Cohen. Look at that beautiful cover. I don't know what this book is about, and that's okay. I am excited, nevertheless, to get to it at some point. I have The Hedgehog by this author. In any case, I haven't read it. I'm like the only one left. And even without that, I decided to go ahead and haul Muriel Barbary's Gourmet Rhapsody. This is about chefs or food for sure. But again, this was a Europa edition, so it's kind of, if I find a Europa edition out in the wild, I grab it. It's translated from the French by Alison Anderson. And I have to say, the one with hedgehog in the title, whose name is not in my mind right now. I'm going to have to read that first before I get to this. And that's the Europa edition, so something's got to get read to make more room. Speaking of Muriel Barbary, The Life of Elves. Look at this. I mean, they do make fantastic editions with these lovely French flaps. Let's see who the translator of this is. Oh, so Alison Anderson. I'm guessing this is about the life of elves. I don't know. But for sure, I will get to that book at some point. It fits on my Europa edition shelf right now, so it's not going to be in like my summer reading pile. The Bone People by Carrie Home. I have already hauled this book. I found this book. I believe I got this book originally for one of the books, like there were 10 books for $5. I couldn't read it. And so it was actually maybe my first audiobook that I was able to finish, because I still can't read it. This font is not readable to me. My eyes already even just kind of looking at it, headaches ensue. So why did I haul this book again? Because I have a friend who loves this book. And I promised that friend that if I found this book out in the wild, and I did, I went to a silent reading, there was a book exchange, and this book was there. So I hauled this book for my friend. That means it's not going to sit in my library. So should it technically be in this video? The answer is yes, because I did haul it, and I love this book. And if I find it again in the next year or so, I will also, it was only available in audio, not digital, from my library, but I'm willing to do it audioly again. I think this is a book that absolutely deserves multiple rereads, and I'm super excited to have found this to give to my friend. Speaking of a reread and a book that's also going to get given away to a friend, this came from a little free library whose owner was out by it, and I had lots of lovely conversations about the little free library, about books, about her life and career as a librarian, and her volunteer time in bookish things, and this book, as this person had read this book as well. This was a listen, and when I finally, and I recommended this to a friend who then bought the physical copy because it came under high recommendation by me to this particular friend who I thought would love this book. Alas, I was right. They love this book. And the thing that I didn't really get, because I didn't have immersive in the listen, is how it's written on the page. It's short enough. I liked it enough that I already said that I like these little vignettes or these little short passages. That really works for me as a reader, that I'm going to reread this very soon and then give it to the partner of this friend who already owns a copy, who has read it a couple of times, or at least one time with the partner, and really wants to do another reread and would like for that partner to have this book. So this book also will not stay in my library, but it might show up in a reading review, because I feel pretty strongly that I will get to this. I really want to get to this. This will be my first official reread of a book that I've read in the last 2 years, excitingly. Okay, A Sand Country Almanac and Sketches Here and There. This feels very, like a classic. It has fantastic drawings, and it was sitting in a little free library, and I thought, if I'm not sure about a book, don't grab it. But this just had such fall vibe. This just really called to me. It's just like a very natural book towards sort of like leaning into the fall. I believe I have a camping trip planned, and I just feel like this book needs to come with me, be read while I'm in nature. And if I don't get to it then, it's okay. I can put it even back in the very same little library I got it from. Look at this fantastic edition of Sula that I found. I have not a complete Toni Morrison collection, but getting close. Toni Morrison is one author that I don't unhaul, that I have because if I ever move, there are only like 5 authors whose collections that I'm interested in moving with me, and all of the rest of the books will just go out into the ecosystem. But like Toni Morrison is one of those. She's an author for whom I have enormous respect, who taught me so much about how to see the world and how to be a reader at a time, a critical reader at a time that was very important for me. And so I read jazz. I listened to her read jazz. Actually, I did an audio of jazz, and that's the only sort of, and I don't remember what I have read or haven't read, and some of them even maybe more than once, in the 90s, because, that's how life is in lots of books. So I don't remember having read Sula. I'm so excited to have found this edition, and because I own it now, I will for sure get to it, maybe even this summer. Last in this giant pile, and I'm glad I did this in 30 minutes. It's still a long video, but these are a lot of books. I found this Murakami. It's Killing Commendatori, yeah. I can read, I swear. Just getting tired. Who's the translator? Can't see it at all because it's like hidden. It's like hidden in this. So my apologies. I'm super excited to have found this edition. This was found in one of my neighborhood little free libraries. I do have a Murakami, a pretty impressive Murakami collection. He has a volume of work. I liked the 2 Murakami books I've read, which have been Norwegian Wood and Kafka at the Shore. They were absolutely they are worth reading. He is a very notable and worthy author that does pretty amazing things in the art of literature. And like many people, I don't really jive with the way he writes women, or there are some things that just don't make me say I'm a Murakami fan, or I want to keep my Murakami. I'm reading The Wind Up Bird Chronicle soon, I believe. I have an audio and I have the physical, and I think I want to do a bit of an immersive with it. That is to say, I'm mood reading. It is kind of a big book. If I can get into it, it's going to be read in the next few weeks. So I can't say that'll give me space because that's a paperback and they're sitting like this, and this is a giant hardback edition. But super excited to have this Murakami. Have to make sure, because I have a pretty extensive Murakami collection, to read 1 or 2 of his works a year. And so this was another reminder, and I will unhaul book by book. Yeah. Sometimes I think when I have kind of a big collection, shouldn't I keep them together and then just unhaul it as a collection? But no, I think I feel better unhauling it book by book. Glad we worked that out together. And the next video you will see from me will be a reading wrap up. I have been reading a lot, and since the last time I did a wrap up, there are several books that I've read and several more that I'm in. And so I'm excited to talk about them. So see you soon for that.